In today's lesson, we are going to extend the functionality of the class player. We are going to create some private and public variable members, and we are going to also to create some methods that will work with the previous public and private members. Okay, so first of all, in case that you don't have the progress we did on the last lesson, you can download it from the next link, and when you have downloaded and opened the project, we can continue. Okay, so what we are going to do here is just to create some methods, some private member and public member variables that are quite connected to what it means to develop a game. In this case, today what we are going to do is just the use of the variable mLive. We are going to create this private member variable live, and we are going to create functions, the functions decrease life and increase life, in order to the name says it all. Okay, so in order to decrease life, we are going to use these spikes. So what you are going to do is just click on the link, download the package, and import the package. Okay. Also, you have seen that a new folder has been created. To keep getting used to reorganize the structure of our project, what we are going to do is in the folder resources, create a new folder, and we will call it, for example, objects, because they will be just game objects, and we are going to move our folder spikes just inside here. Okay. If you drag and drop the spikes just on the scene, you should be able to see it. Let's press twice to center the camera on the spikes, and just move the spikes just above the floor, just to be able to see what do we have here. We have these spikes that we are going to use to decrease players' life. And well, let's go for the next asset. The next asset will allow us to increase the life of the player. And in order to do that, we are going to use this portal. Okay, so let's do the same. Open the link, download the Unity package, and click to import it. Okay, let's import it. It is placed on the root of assets, so we are going to move portal again to the folder objects. Okay, and if we place a portal here, we should see what do we have here. So here it's an asset of a previous game I made, that it's just a portal to another dimension. So next, what we are going to do is to both objects we are going to add the component box collider. That it's what we are going to use to detect that there is collision between our player and each of these objects. So what we are going to do is just to add a box collider component. Okay, here and here we have added the component box collider. Okay, so let's first check this one. Okay, this one, as you see, let's disable the floor for the moment so we can see it better. Okay, in the green lines you can see the size of the box collider. Okay, you have this option in order to change the box, the size the box collider. In this case, we don't need to do any kind of operation. Okay, and also be aware that you can change also the center of the box collider in the section center. Okay, so for this object we don't need to do anything because it already fits. But for the case of the portal, we can see that it doesn't fit. Okay, it's too small. So we are going to just to edit the whole thing and adjust until we are satisfied about the size that we want for our portal. Okay, so just adjust until you are satisfied, and just like this we have just adjusted the size of the collider. Another important thing that we need to do is that in this particular case of both the spikes and the portal, what we are interested is that the player collides with them, but they are not going to stop the player from moving. You can go through all these both elements. In order to go through a box collider, you have to set isTrigger as true. This will allow us to detect the collision but don't stop the player from moving. So we are going to set both isTrigger to true. And now we are interested that these changes that we have made in these two game objects that are on the scene are applied to both prefabs. Okay, in order for us to every time we use one of these prefabs just to place it on the scene, we get the components box collider that we have added to these two particular objects. So to update the prefabs that are on the assets folder, both in the portal and spikes, we have two ways of doing it. We can do it through this section right here. You will be able to see all what has changed in relationship with the prefab, and you will have two options: to revert all the changes that have been done here, or to apply all. Apply all will apply all the changes to the linked prefab. So if we press right now on the portal that we have on the scene here, apply, now if we go to our portal that it's as a prefab in our assets folder and we place a new one, we would be able to see that now this game object has the box collider we have added to the previous one. So by this way we have updated the prefab, okay, in order for us to be able to use it multiple times with the component that we have added. Okay, let's do the same for the spikes. So we select the spikes, go to this section, and we press apply all. There is another way to update the prefab, and it's just to drag and drop over the same prefab. For example, we have here portal, so we can drag and drop, and this operation will also update the whole thing. Okay, choose your own method. There is no wrong answer to do it. Now that we have our colliders in place, okay, first in case that you have disabled the floor, just re-enable it. Okay, and the next thing that we are going to do is just to create the scripts that will help us to detect the collision and proceed to increase or decrease the player's life. So we are going to create these two scripts, and we are going to create them in our folder scripts. Okay, so we are going to create the script spikes and the script portal. And we are going to add both scripts as a components of our game objects. So to the portal we will add as a component the portal script, and since we are interested that these changes applies to the prefab, we are going to just to move all the changes to the prefab. So we press override, apply all, and it's updated. We do the same for the spikes. We just drag and drop as a component, and now we can overwrite, apply all, and all these changes would have been applied to the prefabs. Okay, so now we can go back to the code, back to the class player, and we are going to add this function. Okay, let's copy and paste it, and we are going to explain it. Okay, so let's copy and paste it, and let's see what we are doing here. On trigger enter, it's a method that it's provided by mono behavior, and it's triggered, it's called when there is a collision of this game object with an object on a scene that has a collider. Okay, so what we are getting here when this function is being called is the information of the collider of the object that we are colliding with, and with this information we would be able to apply well, increase the life or decrease the life depending on what we have collided with. So just right now, for the sake of testing, save it, and we are just printing a log message through the console with the name of the object that we have collided with, and we are accessing to this name through the parameter collision, the property game object, and name. So if we go back to the editor and press play, okay, we look for both things. Okay, so we have the portal here, and if we go through the portal, as you have seen here, the message collided with game equals portal. That is that this message plus this information. So we are getting this message right here. The same would happen when we collide with the spikes. We go to the spikes, we collide, and we are getting the name of the game object that we have collided with. Okay, so the collision is right now working. Now it's time for the next step, and the next step would be just to find out with what type of object we have collided with. If we have collided with spikes or we have collided with a portal. In order to do that, we are going to improve the method on trigger with this code. Let's copy paste this code, and we are going to explain it a little bit, what's happening here. Okay, so what's happening here is that, okay, we are getting the collision as a parameter, and from the collision we can get the game object attached to that collider, and from that game object we can check if it has a specific component. Okay, in this case we are checking if the game object has the component spikes. If it has the component spikes, then it belongs to a spikes object. Okay, the same would happen for the portal. If the collision the game object has the component portal, then okay, we are colliding with a portal. So what would be the flow of the whole thing? Okay, so the whole thing would be, okay, I am colliding with any of these two objects, I am getting the collider information, and from the collider information I can get the reference to the game object. Okay, get the collision information, I get the game object, and from there I can check if there is the component spikes or portal. If there is the component portal or spikes, okay, we have collided with one thing or the other. Okay, so if we save and proceed to run, okay, so let's go to the portal, and when we collide with the portal, we get the message that belongs to that we have collided with something, and that something has the component portal in its game object. Okay, so we have this method has been called, we get the collision information, from the collision information we get the game object, and we check if we get this game object has the component spikes or it has the component portal. So now let's check it for the spikes, and we get the message of player has collided with spikes. Okay, so we are now detecting in the right way that we are colliding with one game object or another. And the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to create public member variables that will allow us to specify how much damage in the case of the spikes needs to be applied to the player's life, or how much life should be added in the case there is a collision of the player with the portal. So create both public member variables. First of all, we can start with the spikes script. So let's go to spikes, and we can create the public member variable of type integer that will be the number of units that our player's life is going to be increased. And next we will go with the portal, and again let's add the public member variable. Public of type integer is the units of life that we are going to add. Okay, so now what we are going to do is just on our scene we are going to create multiple instances of both portals and spikes. Okay, so in order to create multiple instances, you have multiple ways. You can drag and drop portals from the prefab, or you can just duplicate by using the contextual menu to duplicate the whole thing, or just by using Ctrl D. You can also duplicate by using Ctrl D. Let's create some instances. And another thing that I advise you to do is to group this thing. We will create an empty game object, and we will call it game objects, and we will place all the instances right inside this game object. Let's make it better. Let's create another couple of empty game objects, and we would call them increase life, and we will call decrease life, and we can move this whole thing in portal right here and spikes in here. Okay, this is decrease life. Okay, So we have created multiple instances of both the spikes and portals, and we have grouped them together in empty game objects, so it's more readable to the human eye. Okay, so let's check first that we are colliding with all of them. So let's press play and just check that the right message is triggered. Okay, we get this message. Let's disable the collapse, so all the messages are not grouped in the same message. So we can see, okay, has collided with portal, has collided with portal, has collided with portal, and we are getting here also has collided with spikes, 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 and spikes. Okay, our collision with all the game elements is working, and what we can see here is that we have the properties. Okay, the properties of that we have just added, the public member variables. In the case of portal, more life. That's the units of life that we were going to increase the player's life. So just customize the way you want. I am going just to once you have customized the values of the different elements, okay, we can proceed to go back to the code and now implement methods to increase and decrease the player's life, applying then the values we are using for both portal and spikes. Okay, so let's go back to the code. And what we are going to do here is in player, we are going to create a private member variable. Okay, that it would be private of type integer. We will call it mlife. Okay, and this value, we will initialize this value with, for example, 100. Okay, so in this private member variable, we are keeping the life of the player. So right now, the exercise that you need to do right now is you are going to create the methods increase life and decrease life. Okay, they are methods because they are not going to return anything. And inside these methods, in the case of increase life, you will add to the value life a number of units specified as a parameter, and in the case of decrease life, you are going to decrease the life by also a number of units. So go ahead and implement both methods. Okay, so just implement both methods with the function that we need to do to increase and decrease life. So go ahead and do it. Okay, if you have done it, you should at least have these two methods implemented in this way, just increasing the value of mLife for increase life, and decrease life we will decrease the value of life by the parameter specified here. I have also added in this case just controls just to put a limit on the top in the case of increasing life. That top is 100, and in the case of decrease life I have placed also a limit in the bottom side that if the life is below 0, just assign it to 0. Okay, now it's time for you to find out where we can use these both methods. So go ahead and find out where you can use it and how you can use it. So go ahead. Okay, your answer should have been this one. So in the moment that the collision is triggered, and when we detect that we have collided with spikes, we proceed to call our method decrease life with the units that we have specified to apply of damage. Okay. So when we were colliding with the spikes, depending which spikes we are colliding with, we would be decreasing different damage values. And what we are doing here is that when the parameter to get the number of units that we need to decrease the life, we are just getting the value damage life from the component spikes. In the similar way, we are doing the same for the portal. For the portal, if we get the collision with the portal, we are getting the information of more life from that component. So when we collide with any of these portals, we will increase its value. Okay. So in order to visualize that what we are doing, just think about it, how you can easily display the value of life after, well, it has been increased or decreased, and just do it. And the answer was that just to display a log message with just displaying the current value of the mLife after doing the operation of increasing and decreasing it, and we would get the current value of mLife. So now if we go to the Unity editor and press play, okay, now when we collide with, for example, with the spikes, okay, we have collided with this unit, and as you can see in the debug log message, we are getting decreased the player's life by 40 units. So right now it's just 60 units. Let's keep it decreasing a little bit more. Let's go with this one that it's 10 units, so we will get that life has been decreased to 50, and we would collide with this other one that it's 20 units, so we will get that right now our player's life is 30. Okay, so now let's go to the portals and let's increase the value. Okay, so let's clean a little bit the console, and let's go with this one. I think that this one is 50. Let's see if I collide. Exactly, it was 50. we were on 20 plus 50 is 70, and if we go with this one, it will increase 10 units, so I think that it will go to 80 exactly. And finally, this one is 20 units. If we collide with this one, we are going back to our player's life to be 100. Okay, so next thing that we are going to do is just to repeat this same exercise of colliding with things, but this time to collect coins. We are going to collide with coins, and we will increase a counter in a similar way that we have done with mlive. And the only difference here is that these coins, once collected, would be destroyed. So the steps that are necessary to do right now is first of all, download the asset. Okay, this free asset, we can add it to our collection of assets. We open it in Unity, we download it, we import it. Okay, and let's move the folder to the objects folder. Okay, you can check what you have just downloaded. It's a free asset that you can use any way you want. Okay, let's go back to the scene game. And what you are going to do is just to create the prefab you want, you will add a box collider or a sphere collider that will collide with, will allow you to check the collision with that particular object. And you just have to make sure that the properties trigger is set to true. Okay, because we don't want that the player is stopped by this object, but it can go through it. So next thing, you will create the script coin. Okay, and you will add that script to your prefab coin. Then will be time to use it. Just place as many coins as you want. Next, on the player class, you are going to create a new private member variable that will be called mcoins. Okay, and you will use that private member variable just to keep the counter of how many coins the player has collected. On the same player class, you will add a method player coin that will increase the previous variable. In this particular case, related to if you want to add a parameter to this function, you are free to do it. Okay, but it's not necessary. You can add just increase 1 unit the variable mcoins, so you don't necessarily need to pass any parameter in this particular case, but it's optional for you to do it. Okay, once you have your methods add coin, then it's time to well, extend the functionality on trigger enter in order to perform the operation to add the coin when the player has collided with it. The final step would be to destroy the coin once the player has collected it. Okay, and try to Google how to destroy a game object. Okay, if you have completed this task, the result should look like similar to this. We have created our coin. Okay, this coin. We have created a collider. We have resized it and created a collider that fits with the coin, and we have added the script coin to this prefab. Then we have created multiple instances of this coin all across the level. Okay, and back to the code. We have created our private variable member mCoins, initialized to 0, and we have created the method addCoin. Okay, the method that will increase 1 unit the number of coins. We are displaying a log message in order to show how many coins we have every time we collect any one. And in the method on trigger enter, when we collide with a game object, we check if we are colliding with an game object that has the component coin, and if that's the case, we just add a new coin. Okay, so if everything is in order, if you go to execute the application, if you go and collect one coin, the coin, okay, I have missed something, that it's to destroy that coin. To destroy that coin, we have game object destroy, and this method allows us to destroy a game object. In this particular case, we are interested to destroy the object that is connected with a collider. Okay, so collision game object will allow us to destroy the coin. So now, going back to the code, now if we go to collect one coin, the coin has been destroyed, and as you can see, we have detected the collision with the coin, and we have increased the number of coins. We can repeat the same operation for all the existing coins, just to make sure that, okay, we are destroying and increasing the counter. So we do it for the rest of the coins, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 coins collected. Okay. Okay, so the last thing that I recommend for you to do it is that as optional homework is just to do another implementation similar to this one, but in this case we are going to use orbs of magic. You will have your private member variable mMagic, where you will have your magic number, and you will increase that particular value every time you collect a new orb. Just look into the Unity asset stores for some free assets that you could use for this orb, and I just recommend you to do this optional exercise.